Hi, everybody. President Trump apparently paid just $750 in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017. How will this revelation impact your vote? Now, that's just a tiny bit of a big, huge story that came out of the New York Times that just dropped, I believe, yesterday. And if you want to check that out, it says long concealed records show Trump's chronic losses in years of tax avoidance. Now, this has been a big Trump's taxes have been a big item of concern basically since 2015 when he did not release his tax returns, and Democrats have been trying to get a hold of Trump's tax returns ever since, and have been suing to get them. Now, quickly here, I want to know what you. Of course, I asked you how will this impact your vote. I already got some comments here. Richie Porterfield says, "Who cares? Glad he was so smart. I wish none of my taxes went to libs. I just want my no Obama fines back." Thanks, Richie. And by the way, Richie, thank you for that. Thank you for that song that you've been posting. Actually, I want to know. We may actually make that a subject. Your song, the subject of an upcoming BS podcast. So maybe look for that. We may play that song and give our thoughts on it. So appreciate that. It's hilarious. Yeah, especially the one with the harmonica. It's great stuff. Sharon Brakefield says, "So who cares? Al Sharpton has never paid taxes." And then Richie says again, "I'm for whatever angers the most libbies." Yeah, so we're looking for that liberal anger. Thank you, Richie. Now, if you didn't see, this is the the New York Times story. The president's taxes. Long concealed records show Trump's chronic losses in years of tax avoidance. Now, we're not going to go through this whole thing because it is really, really, really long. But if you want to check it out, just head on over to New York Times. It's certainly all over the place there. So just some takeaways I wanted to maybe give, just a couple of main points. And a CBS News article did a good job of just sort of highlighting that. And really the big one is this $750, just $750. And I guess that number does seem very small because President Trump, he's a billionaire, right? I mean, he talks about his wealth. I think that's sort of the main message here. A man who's ostensibly very good at business, who's got a lot of money, a lot of assets. You may presume that he would be paying much more than that in taxes. And of course, by the way, these taxes, these returns rather, that the New York Times got a hold of must have been leaked by someone at the IRS, leaked illegally, as a matter of fact. And the president's team asked for copies of the documents that they had. Richie Porter, yeah, thanks, Paul. You can just on. Thanks, Richie. So I appreciate that. I'm glad you're watching, by the way. I really appreciate that. And we found that song hilarious. So thank you for that. So yeah, that's kind of the crux of the issue. Trump's a wealthy man. He's got a lot of businesses, and I think the initial reaction, and I think what's been going around, is that why just $750? Now, let's get into that just a little bit. Now, the newspaper said that Trump had initially paid $95 million in taxes over the 18 years it studied, but he managed to recover most of that money by claiming and receiving a stunning $72.9 million federal tax refund. And it says President Trump also pocketed $21.2 million in state and local refunds, which are typically based on federal filings. So, and this is here as a result of the refund, President Trump paid an average of $1.4 million in federal taxes from 2000 and 2017. The Times reported. By contrast, the average U.S. taxpayer in the top 0.001% of earners paid about $25 million annually over the same time frame. Now, Sharon says Trump 2020. So Sharon's not worried about it. Richie's not worried about it. Whatever makes the libs angry, that's all we care about. Now, I don't have any. So the CBS News thing did provide a little bit of context where high earners would typically pay more, but I don't know. In other words, okay, so we paid an average of $1.4 million, and that's lower than average. Now, again, I don't have a context for this. I'm a W-2 wage earner, and I pay my taxes. It's a very simple process. I don't have complicated businesses and assets and depreciation and losses and all that sort of a thing. So, for me to just I think maybe that that initial reaction at just $750, it does seem very small. But also, what's the context here? Now, that context is that typically high earners pay more. But okay, so we'll see. What else we got here? Lavish lifestyle through business expenses from his home, his aircraft, and $70,000 on hairstyling during his television show, The Apprentice. Trump has capitalized on cost incurred from his business to finance a luxurious lifestyle. Of course, he plays golf, and $70,000. I mean, you got to keep that. You got to keep that beautiful mane of yellow hair looking good, don't you? That is curious here. I mean, it's how he pays for styling. I mean, he was a big TV star, but that is interesting. That's certainly a lot of money to pay on your own personal styling. Continuing here, some of his best-known businesses lose millions. The president has frequently pointed to his far-flung hotels, golf courses, and resorts as evidence of his success as a developer and a businessman. Yeah, something we touched on earlier. Yet his properties have been draining money. And it says that Trump has claimed $315 million in losses since 2000 on his golf courses, including the Trump National Doral near Miami, which has been portrayed as his crown jewel of his business empire. And it also says here the Trump International has lost $55 million. Interesting there. Number 4, foreign visitors help support Trump properties. And so we've got lobbyists, foreign governments, and politicians that have lavished significant sums of money on his properties, and they spent a spending spree that raised questions about propriety and legality. Well, it's raising questions, but it's not clear that anything, and I think that's also another takeaway I'm going to get to in just a second. Number 5, Trump's debts are coming due. Mr. Trump seems to face heavy financial pressures from the enormous pile of debt he has absorbed. The Times said the president appears to be responsible for $421 million in loans. Most of them will come due within 4 years. On top of that is a $100 million mortgage on Trump Tower in New York that will come due in 2022. Now, Trump had a reaction to this. If you did not see it, it says the fake news media, just like the election time in 2016, is bringing up my taxes and all sorts of other nonsense with illegally obtained information and only bad intent. I paid many millions of dollars in taxes, but was entitled, like everyone else, to depreciation and tax credits. Also, if you look at the extraordinary assets owned by me, which the fake news hasn't, I'm extremely underleveraged. I have very little debt compared to the value of assets. Much of the information is already on file, but I've long said that I may release financial statements from the time I announced I was going to run for president, showing all properties, assets, and debts. It is very impressive statement. It also shows I am the only president on record to give up my yearly $400,000 plus presidential salary. And that reminds me also, speaking of, this goes back to 2016. If you remember this was just about almost exactly 4 years ago, the very first debate with Secretary Clinton. Remember she brought up his tax returns? And his was his response. Trump brags about not paying taxes. That makes me very smart. And that's sort of the crux of the issue, isn't it? As a citizen, should you do everything you can to limit your tax liability? And what is the argument against that? And the New York Times story, if you go through there, nothing is. It never says it's illegal, and that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, if he didn't break the law, if he's just simply getting every single benefit that he can get, well, what's the problem? Or is really what do the voters think? Do they think this is a problem? Do they think Trump should be paying more in taxes? Or will they look at it and go, he's just a shrewd businessman? Or on the other hand, they'll say, God, he should be paying a lot more in taxes. I don't like this guy. This now makes me question my vote. Does this do that for any of you? Does this make you think? So far, it doesn't seem like that. Barbara Jean got a comment. Thank you, Barbara, for commenting. She says, I see it as a reflection of the real estate crash during Obama's administration. Didn't Rachel Maddow find he paid $38 million in 2005? I'm more concerned with how Biden is a multimillionaire, having never held a job. Yeah, he was Joe Biden was in the Senate for, 100 years or something, and then was vice president for 8. So, yeah, he's got millions and millions of dollars. I don't know where it came from. It's an interesting question. He's certainly not a businessman. So it seems like your initial reaction to this so far from the comments is this is nothing. This is not a big deal. I'm not worried about it. And do you agree with what Trump said in 2016? It says if I pay as little tax as possible, that makes me smart. That would be interesting to see if this story even goes anywhere. Now, the Trump team also blamed the New York Times for the timing here, dropping us just before the debate tomorrow and dropping it maybe to blunt some of the news of Amy Coney Barrett's announcement on Saturday. I mean, the timing certainly, it doesn't appear random, does it? I don't know how long the New York Times was sitting on this story, how long they had this information. They were waiting to put it out, but certainly putting it out over the weekend ahead of the first debate and right after the announcement of Amy Coney Barrett certainly seems, let's just call it targeted. So my basic takeaway to this is, if there's nothing illegal, I don't have a problem with it. And I don't know, if we don't like the way rich people are not paying enough taxes, then we need to amend the laws. And there's nothing wrong with that either. If you think rich should pay a little bit more, if you think we need to eliminate some loopholes, maybe eliminate the ability to carry losses and all that sort of things and write that stuff down, that's fine. And that's a worthy conversation to have. And then let's do that first, and then let's see how that changes. I think at this point, since it doesn't appear that he did anything illegal, if it's all on the up and up, now we'll see. But if that's the case, then I don't have a problem with it, and I don't think voters will have a problem with it either. Richie Porterfield says, it will be used in the debate. I have a bet that Mr. Trump will make Sleepy Joe cry on live TV. Thanks, Richie. We're going to see what's going to happen. In fact, as we move, so that's the story for today. I want to know, keep commenting below. Love getting the reaction here. This is a lot of fun. Peggy Turner says, no big issue. Sounds like he knows. Sounds like he knows how to make money work. Good. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Again, if there's nothing illegal, he's just using the tax system to his biggest advantage and taking everything he can get to basically not pay any extra money to the federal government. I think, by the way, that smart comment from 2016, he said it's smart by not paying income taxes and argue that if he did, the money would be squandered. Says the only years that anybody has ever seen were a couple of years where he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license. They said he didn't pay any income taxes, and Trump says that makes me smart. So I think Trump's angle here is, look, I'm fine. This is leaked illegally. I do everything, within the law, and I do it to the best of my ability to limit my tax liability to put it as low as possible. That's the main takeaway. Well, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for hopping in. I really appreciate all the comments here. It's great to have this live reaction with all of you. If you are watching here on Facebook, please share this video. Also hit the like button. If you are watching this broadcast on YouTube, I'd also love it if you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, head on over to informedamerican.com where you can get real smart news. Thanks for watching.